Hi everyone. Thank you so much for all the love and support you've been giving on my recent videos. It honestly means the world to me. I've really been enjoying putting these stories together and sharing them with you all. Every comment, like, and little bit of feedback helps the channel grow and keeps me motivated to keep posting more. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or stories you'd like to see featured, feel free to share them down in the comments. Once again, thank you so much for being here, and as always, enjoy the video. My uncle was in the Vietnam War. He finally told me what had happened to him over there. My uncle Trent died last week. The official cause of death was cirrhosis. He was 75 years old. Quite frankly, he made it much longer than any of us expected. I know how callous that sounds, but it's the truth. He never put down the bottle. When I was a kid, I thought he was just the weird uncle everyone avoids at family gatherings. He'd sit in a dark corner, sunglasses on indoors, barely saying a word. Only later did I learn he hadn't always been that way. My dad used to tell me that Trent was the guy everyone loved. The funny one. The kind of man who'd show up at your door at 2 a.m. just to help fix your car. He had a degree in civil engineering, a fiancée named Mary Ann, and a job waiting for him after graduation. Then came the draft notice. Vietnam. It's cliché to say someone came back different, but in his case, it didn't even feel like the same man returned. It was like something else wore his skin. After the war, he broke up with Mary Ann, never took the job, never spoke much at all. He rented a small apartment on the edge of town and just stopped existing. Drinking, smoking, staring at static-filled TV screens. A spiritual suicide. We all try to help. My dad would drop by, leave food, offer to cover rent. Trent always refused. Somehow, he always had money, though none of us knew from where. When we pressed, he'd just shake his head and say, "The world pays its debts." Years passed. I grew up, got a job, got busy, but I still visited him once in a while. He never said much. Sometimes he'd just sit there, shaking slightly, mumbling to himself. And sometimes, I swear, he'd look at me like he wanted to say something terrible, like there was a weight pressing on his chest that he couldn't die with. But he always stopped before the words came out. Then last month, my mother called. "Your uncle wants to see you," she said. "He says he wants to talk." That got my attention. Trent had never asked for anyone, not even when he was in the hospital years ago for liver failure. So I went. The smell hit me before I even opened his door. Cigarettes, mold, alcohol. The apartment was worse than I remembered. Bottles everywhere, ash piled on furniture, wallpaper peeling from moisture. The air felt heavy, like grief had soaked into the walls. He was sitting on his old couch, the same one he'd had for decades. His skin looked gray, his eyes sunk deep into his skull, but when he turned to look at me, there was something alive there. Something urgent. "Hey, Uncle Trent," I said quietly. He gave a weak smile. "Didn't think you'd come." I sat beside him. "Mom said you wanted to talk?" He nodded, took a long drag from his cigarette, and said, "I don't blame you. None of you. I know what I've become, but I didn't choose it for no reason. I drink because if I don't, if I stop, then I see it. I dream it. I didn't interrupt. I just waited." He seemed to be building courage. "Knowledge can be a curse," he said. "You ever wonder why some soldiers never talk about what happened? It's not because they can't handle the memories. It's because the memories handle them. They get inside your head, and they don't leave." He coughed for a while before continuing. "I'll tell you what happened, but you have to promise to believe me. If you don't, just leave now. Don't look for proof. Don't ask for proof." I nodded. He stared into space, took a sip of beer, and started talking. It was 1969, he said. His unit had been sent deep into the jungle, somewhere near the Cambodian border. They were supposed to secure a small village that had stopped responding to supply drops. Nothing out of the ordinary, except the jungle was dead quiet. No birds, no insects, no sound at all, except for the wind. He said even their radio static sounded wrong, slower, deeper, like the air itself was too thick for sound to move normally. When they reached the village, it was empty. No bodies, no blood, just huts abandoned mid-meal, mid-task, food half-cooked, clothes hanging to dry, a pot still boiling over cold ashes. And one thing that didn't make sense, every doorway had a black mark smeared across it. A handprint, long-fingered, too wide to be human. They searched for survivors until sundown. Found nothing but a few scattered footprints, not leading away, but circling the same hut over and over, as if someone had walked there until their feet bled. They set up camp for the night near the village center. Trent was on second watch. Around 2 a.m., he heard whispering. Not in English, not in Vietnamese, just whispering. He said it sounded wet, like someone speaking underwater. He tried waking the others, but when he turned around, he froze. Everyone was already awake. They were standing perfectly still in a circle, their eyes closed, faces pointed upward. Their mouths were moving, whispering the same sound he'd heard. He tried to shout, to shake them, but when he touched one of them, Sergeant Miller, his body was ice cold. And then all at once, they collapsed. When the sun came up, nobody remembered what had happened. Nobody but him. They buried Miller 2 days later. He'd shot himself during patrol, apparently, but Trent swore he saw Miller's body smiling in the grave. My uncle was in the Vietnam War. He finally told me what had happened to him over there. Part 4. That night, Trent woke to see something crouched by the fire, something too thin, too long. It had taken Miller's face, only stretched too wide, the skin too tight. It looked at him and whispered, "Tell them what you saw, and I'll find you again." He said the jungle never let him go after that. Even when he came home, he'd hear it. That same whisper, crawling behind the static of his television, or in the clink of bottles in the dark. He called it the thing that learned my name. By the time he finished, his cigarette had burned down to his fingers. He didn't flinch. "I shouldn't have told you," he said. "But it's been calling again. Louder this week. When I go, it'll come looking for someone new. And it always goes for blood. Family blood." He stared at me, eyes glassy, trembling. I just needed someone else to know it wasn't all in my head. He leaned back, closed his eyes, and said quietly, "If you ever hear it whisper, don't answer." I sat there for a while, too stunned to speak. When I left, he was asleep, or at least I thought he was. He died 2 days later. That was 3 weeks ago. I told myself he'd just been rambling, that it was the drink, the dementia. But then little things started happening. At first, it was the dreams. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my heart hammering, with no memory of what I'd seen, only that I felt watched. Once, I woke to find muddy footprints leading from my bedroom door to my window. The next night, my TV turned on by itself. Static hissed through the speakers. And under the noise, for just a second, I swear I heard someone whisper my name. I unplugged the TV, threw it in the garage. But that night, I still heard it, faint, through the walls, like it was whispering from inside the wiring. My uncle was in the Vietnam War. He finally told me what had happened to him over there. Part 5. Then came the smell. Not smoke, not mold, something like burnt meat mixed with wet soil. I'd catch it in random places, my hallway, my car, once even in my office at work. Every time I smelled it, the lights flickered. I tried telling my mom, but she just said I was grieving in my own way. I didn't have the heart to argue, but deep down, I knew it wasn't grief. It was something following a trail. Last night, it got worse. I woke up around 3 a.m. to a noise, the faint buzz of static. Even though the TV was gone, the sound was still there, coming from the corner of the room. My phone screen lit up. It wasn't a notification, just white noise filling the display. Then, through the static, words began to form. Text, scrolling slowly like subtitles. "Do you believe him now?" I froze. The room felt colder, heavier. And then I heard it, a whisper right beside my ear. Low, wet, familiar. My uncle was in the Vietnam War. He finally told me what had happened to him over there. Part 6. Say my name. I didn't move, didn't breathe. For what felt like hours, I stayed there, staring into the dark until dawn. When sunlight finally hit the room, the smell was gone. The static had stopped. My phone screen was black, battery drained. I thought maybe it was over, that maybe I'd just been imagining things. Then this morning, when I left for work, I noticed something smeared on my front door. A black mark, a handprint, long-fingered, too wide to be human. I don't know what to do. I've been sleeping with all the lights on, TV unplugged, no mirrors uncovered. Every night, I think about what Trent said. If you ever hear it whisper, don't answer. But it's getting harder not to. Because last night, I heard it again. Only this time, it didn't whisper from the dark. It whispered from inside my head. Tell them what you saw. Subscribe for more stories like this, and let me know about your thoughts in the comment section.